Hello, my friends, and welcome to a space where pleasure is treasured, relaxation is not what you think it is, and life firing on all cylinders is what we're about. If you are somebody who wakes up every day asking for way more, consider this your happy place. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I am going to do something different today. I was just thinking, what can I talk about on the podcast that would just be really different and really fun? And if you didn't see, I did a podcast a few weeks ago with Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness. And he was talking to me about how I needed to create my cocktail book. And, cocktails are a thing that I have this weird capacity for creating. And I have to say, in my humble opinion, I make some of the best cocktails in the world. And I've been told that by other people as well. And I thought, gosh, it would be fun to just do a little like cocktail lesson on the podcast, just for something totally different. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to give you a little cocktail, like easy cocktail class. I don't have liquor with me. I don't have sometimes I'll like go in my kitchen and do some mixing and teach people stuff, but I'm not going to do it like that. But I wanted to give you kind of like a little bit of kind of an introduction to flavor, and also kind of idea of like how to mix things with ingredients. And the thing for me that really where this whole cocktail thing came out of for me is I really just started playing around. And I never was a bartender. I've never tended bar. I don't even know how to make like standard cocktails. I just don't have any idea. If you ask me to make you like a standard cocktail, I wouldn't know how to do it. So, but what happened was I just I love studying menus. So this is something that I do is I travel a lot, and I always am looking, like when I go to different places in the world, I'm always looking online ahead of time at restaurants. And I look to see where I want to go, where I want to eat out. And instead of just like looking at the reviews or whatever, I like to look at the photos of the restaurant. So I like to see what the ambiance is. And then I look at the menu. And the menu is more important to me than the ambiance, but they're both important. And because for me, it's like, my point of view is if I'm going to eat something or drink something, it better be epic. To me, that is a quality of an intense mofo, an intensely hedonistic mofo, which is a creation of living kind of thing that I talk about in different places. And it's like, I love pleasure. I'm a total hedonist. I'm very intense. I love like everything I do. I love to have intensity with it. And I judge that for a long time, but I don't anymore. I celebrate that about myself. And so I always want to make sure, like, I like to look and just be like, okay, is there anything on this menu that I would want to eat? And is there anything on this menu that I would want to drink? And if there are like a bunch of things that I'm like, wow, I'd love to taste that. That's super creative, food or drink. And it looks like a cool place. That's where I will choose to go. And my friends always, everybody loves going out to dinner with me because they know that I always choose really cool places. So everybody's like, if you found the restaurant, I'm going to go. Because I'm weird. I take my time. I do my research. And I love flavor, and I love the combination of different flavors and creative, all the creative ways that people play with flavor. And to me, that's what cocktails really are about. So during COVID, obviously, everybody was at home, and we had kind of, my partner Brian and I had started playing, just enjoying cocktails when we would go out, enjoying creative cocktails. And there's been a big movement in the past, maybe 10 years, craft cocktails. And, so we would always kind of look for places that were fun and, go enjoy creative cocktails. Well, obviously that wasn't happening during COVID. And so I started just playing with, okay, well, I want to try to make some stuff myself, and so the way that what I did was I just I had some cocktail books. I think I bought some like recipe books, and then I just did a little bit of reading about flavors and stuff like that. And we had gone to some really cool different places here and there, like all over the world. We had gone to some really cool. I found some very cool cocktail bars and all over the world. It was just really cool places, and learned, started to kind of like study different ingredients, learn if I ever saw something on the menu that I didn't know what it was, I would just look it up. Sometimes we'd even go see if we could find it and we go buy it and play with it, like bring it home and mix with it at home. So learning about ingredients, and then learning kind of like the structure of a cocktail. And so to me, I actually really have the point of view, great cocktails and great food. They kind of all go together with me, because it's for me, because it's really about combining flavor, like mixing flavors and just finding what works. And the biggest thing for me is really including your body. Like for me, my body makes the cocktails, my body makes food. And I don't think very much when I don't like to think. I don't like to think, period. I don't really recommend it. We are so much like things flow so much easier when we're functioning more from our bodies and from awareness, which is different than thinking, which is the story for another time. But I don't think about the cocktails that I'm making. I don't think about the food I'm making. I let my body play. So that's what I started doing. And I was willing to like throw a lot. I've thrown a lot of stuff down the drain. Really, really good, expensive, really nice alcohol. I've poured it down the drain because I've made it taste not so good, So you got to be willing. It's part of any creative process. Like you got to be willing to just scrap it and be like, well, that didn't go so well, pour it down the drain. I would never force myself to drink something that didn't taste good. I just kind of have always had the point of view, like something is far better off in the trash can than in my body. My body's not a trash can, so I'm not going to make myself eat or drink something that doesn't taste fantastic. If it doesn't taste fantastic and if it doesn't feel like something my body wants. So I don't really have a problem with tossing stuff. And I think that you can become really uninhibited with creation if you do that. Like it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a business idea or anything. Like the creative process has got to involve rolling up your sleeves, getting messy, throwing shit away, with anything. Relationships, financial stuff. I mean, stuff that you think you shouldn't be throwing away. Like, be willing to toss it and start over. So you'll never make a good cocktail or, like dish or whatever if you're not willing to just be like, that didn't work, never mind. And so that's a big piece of it. But the other piece is having a really great, like having some great ingredients to work with. And so I have a huge, really extensive liquor cabinet. And it's so funny because I really am not drinking now. And so it's not like I'm never going to drink again, but in this moment in my life, my body's very clearly no alcohol, like just none. So I'm doing all kinds of, I've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting and like tracking my blood sugar and playing with like really honing my metabolic health and all kinds of really cool stuff. So alcohol isn't really fitting into that scenario at the moment. Um, but I actually have started to mix some non-alcohol, like super healthy drinks, which has been fun to play with, like apple cider vinegar and like young ginger and young turmeric and rose nectar and like all these. I'm just always combining flavors. I love that world. And so, but when it comes to cocktails, and you could use non-alcoholic, uh, like non-alcoholic spirits, I guess they're called. Like they make non-alcoholic gin and vodka and bourbon and all those things. So you can get those and play with those as well. But it starts with the ingredients. A great cocktail starts with great ingredients. So first of all, friends don't let friends buy shitty liquor. That's my thing. That's my motto. Don't buy shitty liquor because for one, it'll taste terrible and you will feel terrible in the morning. So don't do that to your body. It's worth investing in really good liquor in order if you want to make some great cocktails. Um, so that's one thing. And then what I would do is I just started studying what was available. And this would be like anywhere in the world that I would go. I'd go to a liquor store and I always go, anytime I go to a liquor store, I go to the aisle that has all of the like creative spirits, like um, there's kind of different names for, I can't even think of it right now, but like spirits that are liquors that have, flavor to them. So there's fruit liqueurs, there's floral liqueurs, there's herbal liqueurs, there's spice forward liqueurs, there's all kinds of stuff. Like I have pine liqueur, I have cinnamon liqueur, I have turmeric liqueur, lavender liqueur, rose liqueur. I have like chartreuse, which is an amazing liqueur that is made by monks in France that is made with like, I think it's made with like 47 different herbs and, plants. Um, and I mean, just all kinds of like, I'm trying to think of what else, like oak barrel aged ginger liqueur. I love, there's one called Big O that is, you can get it in some states in the United States. But all kinds of really interesting liqueurs with different flavors that I have. Of course, there's the fruit ones. There's, peach and orange, and I have yuzu liqueur, which is a Asian citrus. So all of those kinds of, really interesting. And I've learned a lot by just going to liquor stores and just kind of standing in that specialty aisle and being like, what they got, like, what is this? Like pastis, which is kind of a anise flavored, it's a French liqueur. Um, so many different things. So I have a huge collection of flavored liqueurs, and that's a big part of what I play with when I mix. And then the other ones are like the base liquors. So you've got gin, vodka, tequila, whiskey, bourbon, rum, and those are kind of the main ones. I may or may not be remembering all of them, but those are the main ones that I tend to use. Um, and one of the things that I've discovered is I'm a big gin girl. I love gin and I love bourbon. I love oak aged, really oaky bourbon. And I love think gin is really fun because there's so many different flavor profiles with gin. There's, again, gin that is more kind of like spice forward or floral or herbal. There's so many different types of flavor profiles that gin has. So I'm a big gin girl. And because I love gin and I love bourbon, one of my favorite liqueurs to mix with is oak barrel aged gin, which is a gin that is aged literally in an oak barrel as you would with bourbon. So it's brown in color. Usually gin is clear. And it has this incredible oakiness to it. It's kind of like, gin and bourbon, their love child, And oh my gosh, I mean, given that those are my two favorite liqueurs, I'm like, oak aged gin is fantastic. And there's a distillery for anybody in the United States called Boulder Distillery, where I live here in Boulder, Colorado. They make a liqueur called Ginsky, which is like one of my favorite things to mix with. And you can't make a you can't make a bad cocktail with Ginsky. It's just so good. But everybody has their preferences. So there's mezcal as well. Like if you think in the list, like mezcal is in the tequila family, but it's very smoky. And then of course there's being a sort of a Mexican by I have a house in Mexico, so I spend a lot of time there. There's raicilla and sotol, which are other kind of in that tequila family that have some smokiness to them, less than mezcal. So tequila isn't smoky, mezcal is smoky, raicilla and sotol are kind of in between. Different flavor profiles, but kind of cool if you like playing with smoke flavor. So you want to start with so the components for me, like the component of a cocktail is the base liqueur, and then some sort of well, let me back up and just say this is how I learned. I don't even know where I learned this, but you have a base liqueur, which is your gin, vodka, bourbon, whiskey, tequila, mezcal, rum, whatever. One of those. That's your base, and then you have other liqueurs, like the flavored liqueurs that you would use less of. You add those for their flavor, a little bit for their alcohol content, but they add sweetness a lot of times. They add like body to the cocktail. They can change the mouthfeel of the drink, and then and other things can as well. But so you have the dominant flavor of the cocktail. Basically, you want to be the liquor, the main liquor that you're using, and then you want to have some. And this depends on your preference, but you want to have some sweet, some sour, and some bitter. And for me, I kind of do it in that order, like most forward on the alcohol flavor, which is why you want to start with a very good base liquor, and then some sweet, and then a little, and then less sour than sweet, and then less bitter than sour. And to me, I don't make super sweet cocktails, but I do like some level of sweetness to them. And that makes a very well-rounded cocktail for my palate. Some people like more drinks that are a lot more kind of like hot. They're more, very alcohol forward, martini style, like classic martinis and old fashions and Manhattans and stuff like that. I don't tend to make those types of cocktails as much. I use a lot of citrus. I use a lot of lime and lemon, and orange rind goes in almost everything because orange rind is amazing. And then I also make simple syrups, and this has been a really fun part for me to play with. And also, as I've created cocktails that have been like, I've had a lot of people over the years ask me to make cocktail recipes for them in different parts of the world because I know people all over the world. So, I can't necessarily make the variety of liquors that you can get in different places are it's such a you cannot get in France what you could get here in the United States. Some things you can, but most you can't. So I love using food for cocktails because if I use standard food that you can get anywhere, then anybody can make it anywhere in the world. So so simple syrups are a beautiful way to add flavor to a cocktail without adding alcohol content, but they add sweetness. And you make a simple syrup by taking a cup of water, a cup of sugar, or 1 part water, 1 part sugar, whatever your measurement is. And you boil it down to reduce it and thicken it. And then you add stuff. You can add basil, you can add lemongrass, you can add cinnamon, you can add, all kinds of you can add pho, like the seasoning that they would put in pho, like the Vietnamese soup. I've made a five spice, like Chinese 5 spice simple syrup before, or, with black pepper and cardamom and star anise and I mean, all kinds of stuff. But just play again with spices and play with herbs. And rosemary, I do a lot. I do thyme simple syrup. You can combine things like I love doing Asian-y kind of like shiso and lemongrass, maybe some ginger, maybe some Thai basil, so just playing with it. And usually you add the herbs after it's done cooking. Um, like a basil or something like that, you wouldn't want to put in when it's boiling because it'll burn the basil leaf. So you take it off the heat, you put the basil in, and then you just let it sit for half an hour, and the flavor soaks in, and then you have this beautiful syrup that's sweet and tastes like basil or tastes like lemongrass or whatever it may be. Um, and I made one actually when I have a really great Thanksgiving cocktail that I make that is, it's bourbon with orange liqueur, lemon, and this simple syrup made from maple syrup, brown sugar, and sage. And it's kind of Thanksgiving-esque for those of you in the United States. Like sage is a common uh, herb that we use in like turkey stuffing and stuff like that. Oh, and there's cranberry liqueur in it as well. So just kind of fun, playing. This has all come from just playing. But so get like if you're interested in making cocktails, and this is like a little teaser to my cocktail book. I'm putting myself on the spot here because I'm going to publish this book. I have so many recipes, it's insane. Like way more than I could possibly put into a book. I probably have like 3 books worth of recipes that I just need to organize, and there's going to be 3 cocktail books. We'll see. But I have post-it notes. I have stuff on my computer. I have like texts that I've sent myself. I have notes. I have Google Docs. I've got all these cocktails in different places. But what you want to do is you want to take, you've got your base liqueur, and then you're gonna maybe you have like I usually do 2 ounces. I don't know how many milliliters of that I can't remember the conversion, but a shot a shot is an ounce and a half. I usually do 2 ounces. And so of the base liqueur, and then you take a little bit of some flavor. You add flavor and sweetness, you add citrus, you add bitter. So maybe you take a little bit of a flavored liqueur that has some sweetness to it. You take some citrus, like lime or lemon juice are usually what I use. I use lime more than anything. And then orange rind is so wonderful. It almost always elevates the entire cocktail. And then bitters. There's all kinds of different flavors you can use with bitters. A lot of bitters are alcohol based, but you can get some. I have some that I love from a place called Dram Apothecary they're a Colorado company, but I think you can get them in the US anywhere, that are glycerin based. And they make Palo Santo bitters. They make black bitters, which is like cardamom and black pepper and all kinds of deeper spices. They make, I think, lavender, lemon balm bitters, all kinds of, and you can buy simple syrups too. Like there's just so many possibilities out there. But in order to balance the flavors, you want to have more, the most in the cocktail is going to be the base liqueur, and then you've got the sweet, flavorful, whether it's liqueur or simple syrup, and then you've got some citrus to add the sour, and then you add either bitters or orange rind or both for the bitter flavor, and shake it up or stir it, whatever. I'm not really a stickler about, some people say you don't ever shake brown liqueurs like a whiskey or a oak aged gin. You would stir those more. I don't really care about that. I shake almost everything. If I'm making an old fashioned, I'm not going to shake it, but I like to give dilute it a little bit. putting it in a shaker with ice, shake it up, and just play. You can garnish it. My partner and I make a lot of we'll dry slices of orange or lime. Like we do all kinds of citrus and like candied rose petals and all kinds of cool garnishes that you can add. um, and you just play with the flavors and think about, like, ask your body, what are some flavors that would go really cool together, and so, like, I love making some of these kind of, like I was talking about, Asian-y cocktails, so maybe I would use like a gin, and then here's a great kind of standard recipe is that I work from, would be like 2 ounces of gin, the juice of like a half of a lime, and then some sort of a simple syrup. It could be like, if I wanted to go Asian, maybe I would do like a lemongrass, Thai basil simple syrup, put it in there, shake it up. You have like a little real sweet little martini that has some sweetness, some sour, some, maybe put a little orange rind or lime rind um, for a little bit of bitter element, and just play. You can do that. You can do that with like gin or vodka, lime juice, and a sweet liqueur. Um, so it can be very simple. But the thing that, to me, it's always been very intuitive, and I've always asked my body, okay, well, what would be cool? And I don't think about it. I mean, like, I remember one time I made this really cool margarita, and I used like cinnamon liqueur and all kinds of, like, I don't even remember what I put in it. I just remember this one particular margarita that I made one time that was really unique, and it had cinnamon in it, and I'm sure it had some orange, and but it had some. I have this liqueur called Tingala, which is made from honey, and it makes your tongue tingle. So there's just all kinds of fun ingredients that you can find and add to it, and then see what it creates, and maybe you throw it out, maybe you drink it. I do every once in a while, I'll do cocktail classes. Like if I have a class at my house, which this summer I'm doing one at my house in August, I'm doing a foundation class. So we'll probably do this. We did it last year where I had a cocktail class, and I just pulled a bunch of stuff out from my liquor cabinet, and I asked the ladies that were here, the people that were here, they hadn't had any experience mixing drinks before. So I had them, like, I set things, it was like, here's the base liqueurs, here's the flavored liqueurs, here's the simple syrups, here's the bitters, here's the citrus. Now, ask your body, like, okay, well, which liqueur would you like to use? Start there. That's where I always start. Do I want this to be a gin cocktail, a bourbon cocktail, a tequila cocktail, a rum cocktail? So start there, decide what your base liqueur going to be, and then ask your body, like, well, what would be fun flavors to put with it, and just see what you come up with, Another thing you can add that's really great, and I love adding to cocktails, is honey. So I'll do like a honey syrup, mix honey and warm water, and it just makes the honey easier to dissolve in the drink. And also tea, like green tea or floral teas, like a jasmine tea or something like that. So I like using tea sometimes. You could do like an Earl Grey tea or some sort of a, herbal tea. And if you want to have more of a cocktail that has more volume and less alcohol in it, a tea is a great thing to add, or tonic water. And with tonic water, you can ruin a cocktail with shitty tonic water. So if I'm going to have a gin and tonic, I'm going to ask what the tonic is that they have before I order it, because there's nothing worse than shitty tonic. So Schweppes, no, I will never drink Schweppes. But Fever Tree is my favorite tonic. You can get that I think most places in the world you can get Fever Tree. There's other, but go for the more kind of gourmet tonic waters. Tonic adds sweetness and bitter. But you can put, like with a gin and tonic, you can throw a little simple syrup in there. You can throw a little liqueur in there just to give it a little, flavor, a little extra um, kind of uniqueness, and sweetness or whatever. So it's just playing, and I will, I'll be publishing a book. I'm putting myself on the spot. Like I said, I'm committing. I'll be publishing a cocktail book. But play, play. You could add grapefruit. You could do blood orange. You could put ginger in your cocktail. I created part of the cocktail menu at the Castello di Castelborgone in Italy, beautiful castle that I'll be doing a class there in a few weeks, or like about a month or so, mid-May. And they asked me when they opened if I would create a cocktail for the menu, and I was like, well, can I create the whole menu? So that was another one of my projects during COVID. We came up, Brandon helped me, my partner helped me, and we came up with a cocktail for each room in the castle, because the rooms at the castle all have their own energy, their own decor that's unique, and they all have a name. All the rooms have a name. So I made cocktails to correspond to the energy and the flavor of the room. That was really fun. One of the cocktails on the castle menu is a food-based cocktail. So it's made really with very easy ingredients you can make from anywhere, which has vodka. It's called the Chi-Chi Room. It has vodka that has been infused with red bell pepper and jalapeno pepper. So it's got a little kick. It's savory. And then with lemon juice and lime juice and thyme simple syrup. And it is really good. Some of my friends call it my salad cocktail, because it has this kind of, it's sweet, it's savory, it's got this really interesting combination of flavors of thyme and pepper, a little bit of kick. And so things like that, where you just use food, and you don't have to have any sort of fancy, all you would need for that one is vodka, some peppers, some sugar and thyme, some citrus, so sometimes you can make very easy combinations of things like that. You can also infuse alcohol, like I mentioned with the this particular one, where you would infuse the vodka ahead of time with the peppers. We've done like sesame seed infused gin before. That's a really interesting one. It has kind of an oily flavor, that like the oil from the sesame seeds kind of gives it a very smooth finish in your mouth, which is kind of fun. So just so many things. And, hopefully I'm talking about liquor, I'm talking about cocktails, and of course, replace this with non-alcoholic stuff if you're interested in doing that. But really, hopefully, what I'm also doing is just giving you kind of an invitation to play with flavor in your life, like with food, with salads. I make amazing salads, and I just play. I just go, body, what do you want? And it's like, duh, 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 this, and then I put it together, and I'm like, oh, okay, I could add some fat. I could add some, maybe there's some cheese or avocado or, nuts or seeds or, and you just start to play with flavor. And as you do, you learn about things that work together, and then you can extrapolate from there and build on that. And so if you're not a foodie, you probably wouldn't still be listening, but hopefully this is also just a contribution to like a creative process, because really it's just like this, and this, and your body can give you input, and then you just put them together, whether it's in a cocktail or a meal or a business creation or, whatever it may be. Put stuff together, maybe it's an art piece, and then see what happens, see what shows up. So, well, this was fun. A very different podcast than I've done so far, but it feels, fitting with the creation of living theme. It's like, just that, creation of living to me is like really just enjoying the hell out of the the hedonistic aspect of life and living, and surrounding ourselves with beauty and deliciousness. Like I was saying in the beginning, I I don't like, if something doesn't taste good or it doesn't feel good to my body. No, like I'd rather just not eat than eat something that doesn't taste good, or I know my body isn't going to enjoy. Um, and what if we could really have that kind of kindness with our bodies, and the creative play, and the sense of like beauty and adventure, that preparing things for ourselves to consume, food, beverages, for me, there's such a joy in that. And what if creation in all ways could really be joyful? And what if we could include our bodies? And what if we could like just have it be this really fun adventure of discovery, So I hope this was a contribution, and thanks for being here with me for this different conversation. And yeah, here's to the book. May it be out soon. We'll see. I'm kind of shooting for the end of this year, and we shall see what else is possible. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If this conversation was inspiring to you, share the love. To work privately with me or for info on my upcoming classes and retreats, go to heathernichols.com. Have a beautiful day, and remember that the world thrives when you do.